Ever get that feeling like our world is just this, like, crazy interconnected web? One little thing changes over here and suddenly, boom, huge effects way over there.
It's true. One thing can snowball pretty quickly.
Now imagine that, but like 3,000 years ago, bustling cities, massive empires, trade routes going everywhere, and then poof, practically overnight, it all just falls apart.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
That's the late Bronze Age collapse, right? What a mystery. So today we're going deep on all the theories, the evidence, the whole shebang, and we're doing it all based on, what else? Wikipedia.
You've given some great excerpts from the late Bronze Age collapse Wikipedia article. And let me tell you, it's fascinating stuff. It's like we're trying to put together this giant puzzle, but, half the pieces are missing.
I know, right? And the picture we have is mind-blowing. We're talking about some of the most, advanced civilizations of their time, right? Ancient Egypt, the Hittites, the Mycenaeans, all brought to their knees.
And that's the thing. They weren't just scattered civilizations. They were all connected.
Yeah.
Trading, fighting, sharing ideas, you name it. This wasn't just some random Tuesday, This was a system shock that went across, the entire ancient world.
So it's like one string of lights goes out on your Christmas tree and suddenly, bam, the whole thing goes dark.
Perfect analogy.
Mm.
And, one thing that might have made them so vulnerable, the whole palace economy thing.
Palace economy. Sounds fancy, but also potentially risky.
Right. Imagine all the power, all the wealth, all concentrated in the hands of the ruler.
So like ancient Wall Street, but instead of a bunch of suits, it's just like one guy with a crown.
Exactly. And that crown's looking pretty shaky. Sure, it was probably efficient, for a while anyway. But if the palace falls or, the ruler has a bad day, the whole kingdom goes down with him.
Talk about putting all your eggs in one very fragile, very bejeweled basket.
And guess what? When we look at the late Bronze Age, we see a whole bunch of palace-toppling events happening all at once. Climate change, new weapons, migrations, you name it.
Let's break those down a bit. First up, the classic, climate change. Honestly, it feels like that's always a suspect in these historical mysteries, but I gotta say, this time it sounds like there's some real evidence.
Oh, there definitely is. We're talking about major drought. Imagine years, decades even, of way less rain, crops failing, water sources drying up. Total societal chaos.
You mentioned evidence. The Wikipedia article mentioned something about, tree rings.
Ah, yes, tree rings. They're like nature's own history books.
Yeah.
And what do they tell us about this time? Brutal, dry years, specifically from juniper trees in Turkey, right around 1198 to 1196 BC. It's right there in the wood.
So, not just a little dry spell, this was a full-on mega drought.
Exactly. That kind of environmental disaster can lead to famine, social unrest, wars, basically all the ingredients you need for a total societal meltdown.
Okay, so we've got a climate crisis brewing, but then there's that other theory, right? About new weapons. This is where things start to feel almost apocalyptic.
Right, because for ages, it was all about bronze, right?
Yeah.
Tools, weapons, bronze was king. But then ironworking starts to spread.
Okay, so what's so special about iron? Besides, being the star of every heavy metal band ever.
Well, for one, it's way stronger than bronze. But more importantly, way easier to get a hold of. You don't need those long-distance trade routes for tin anymore. You can arm everyone with locally sourced iron.
Ah, I see where you're going with this. Imagine you're some Bronze Age king, you've blown your entire budget on shiny bronze weapons, and suddenly this new army shows up with cheap, super strong iron swords. What a nightmare.
Exactly. This wasn't just some minor change. This completely changed how wars were fought, who had the power, everything.
And speaking of new armies showing up,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the mystery everyone wants to talk about.
Oh, you mean the Sea Peoples? It's such a cool name. They sound terrifying, like something out of a pirate movie.
They really do. And they show up in all the historical records around this time, just wreaking havoc everywhere they go. We still don't know where they came from, what they were after. So they're like the ultimate villains of the late Bronze Age. They delivered the final blow.
Well, it's tempting to think so. But the truth is probably more complicated. Sure, the Sea Peoples were a huge factor, but they were likely part of a bigger trend of migrations and unrest that was already happening. Think of it like this. If the late Bronze Age was a house of cards,
Ooh, I like where this is going.
the Sea Peoples might have been the gust of wind that finally knocked it all down. But those cards were already teetering.
Okay, I love that analogy. So we've got climate change shaking things up, new weapons turning the tables, mysterious raiders sailing all over. This is already like a blockbuster disaster movie. But wait, there's more, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's more. And this one might just be the most unsettling of all.
Okay, you gotta elaborate. Because honestly, what's scarier than a bunch of seafaring raiders with a mysterious past?
How about a pandemic?
A pandemic in the Bronze Age. Now that's just spooky.
Right. But there's new evidence suggesting that disease may have played a role in the collapse. And not just any disease, we're talking a full-blown, society-altering pandemic spreading like wildfire through all those interconnected trade routes.
Hold on, a pandemic in the Bronze Age. That's wild. Do we have any idea what kind of disease we're even talking about?
There's been some thought that it could have been some early form of the bubonic plague. And honestly, with how much travel and trade was going on back then, perfect conditions to spread something like that. It really makes you think, doesn't it? A Bronze Age pandemic. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little less, contagious. What about the archaeology? What can the actual physical evidence tell us about all this chaos?
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual detective work. So what are we talking about here? Crumbling statues, broken pottery, or is there more to it?
Well, it's not quite Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
but honestly, it's pretty close. We're talking about piecing together clues from literally thousands of years ago. And one of the biggest things that jumps out at you is the sheer scale of the destruction all across the Mediterranean.
We talked a bit about those destroyed palaces in Greece earlier. What's the deal with those?
Those palaces are key. Mycenae, Tiryns, Pylos. These were like big players in the Mycenaean world, and they all show signs of just catastrophic damage. And it all lines up with the collapse, really makes you wonder.
So are we talking like battle scars, proof of those mysterious sea peoples?
It's tricky. Some sites, yeah, they scream war. But then others, you look at them and it's like earthquake damage, fires, things like that. And honestly, a lot of the time, it's probably a mix of both.
Man, how do you even begin to untangle all that? It's like a 3,000-year-old crime scene.
You gotta love a good challenge. Take the palace at Pylos, for example. Huge fire,
Yeah.
definitely. But then we also have these clay tablets, right? And they mention watchers guarding the coast. It's like something straight out of a movie. You can practically feel the tension waiting for that attack from the sea.
I bet those watchers wish they had some binoculars or something. But do we know for sure if it was the sea peoples attacking?
Wouldn't that be nice? Sadly, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we know the sea peoples were around causing trouble, but to definitively say this attack at this time was them, that's tough. Like finding a fingerprint after 3,000 years.
Wow. Okay, so Greece has its mysteries. What about other places? Did they suffer the same fate?
Destruction was everywhere. But it wasn't like a one-size-fits-all situation. Over in Anatolia, home of the Hittite Empire, it looks like a much more total collapse.
Right, the Hittites, those guys were like the masters of organization, weren't they? They seemed unstoppable.
They really did, at their peak. A force to be reckoned with, no doubt. But their capital city, Hattusa, burned to the ground. And, I mean, completely obliterated. Archaeologists are still debating whether people were even living there when it happened. It's wild.
And wasn't that right around the time those iron-wielding groups, like the Phrygians, started showing up?
Bingo. It's like clockwork, right?
Yeah.
Big empire falls, someone's always waiting to take their place.
It's true. History has a funny way of repeating itself. So Greece is picking up the pieces. The Hittites are, well, gone. What about Egypt? They always seem to be in the thick of it.
Egypt is interesting because they were attacked by the Sea Peoples, big time. We even have records from the pharaoh, Ramesses III, talking about these epic battles with them.
Oh, wow. So they actually fought them head on. I always picture Egyptians in chariots battling it out in the desert, not fending off mysterious sea invaders.
It's not the classic image, is it? But they had a pretty impressive navy. And get this, unlike a lot of other civilizations at the time, Egypt actually managed to fight off the Sea Peoples.
They did. That's incredible. Those Egyptians were tougher than they look. What was their secret? How'd they survive when everyone else was falling apart?
Well, luck probably played a part.
Yeah.
But they were also very organized militarily, and they had the resources to back it up. They weathered the storm, so to speak.
So not totally unscathed, but definitely more resilient than most. What about the Levant? That whole region was like the crossroads of the ancient world.
Ah, the Levant. Now that's where things get really interesting. You're right. It was this melting pot of cultures, a huge trading hub, the works. And yes, there's definitely destruction. The city of Ugarit, for example.
Right, Ugarit. That's the one with the letter from the king, right? The one that was literally baked in the destruction.
The one and only. Really makes you think about how quickly things can change. But here's the thing about the Levant. The destruction there isn't as widespread or as, I don't know, uniform as we once thought.
Wait, so it wasn't a total collapse everywhere. I thought that was the whole point of the Bronze Age collapse. Everything just goes boom.
That's the common misconception. Yes, there was huge disruption, but it wasn't this single cataclysmic event, more like a process,
Yeah.
unfolding over decades, even centuries, and it was different everywhere you went.
So less of a big bang, more of a slow burn.
Perfect way to put it. Some places got hit hard, never really recovered. Others adapted, rebuilt, even came out stronger on the other side. And that's something we don't talk about enough, this resilience of human societies.
So what does it all mean? We've got climate change, mysterious raiders, ancient pandemics. How does it all fit together? So we've established that the late Bronze Age collapse, it wasn't just kaboom, everything's gone. It was more of a transformation, a changing of the guard.
Exactly.
Oh.
And that's what makes this whole period so fascinating. It makes us really think about how societies work, how they change, how they either completely fall apart or manage to, reinvent themselves.
It reminds me of that saying, history is written by the victors. But really, it's way more complicated than that.
Oh, absolutely. It's messy. It's
Yeah.
complicated. And by really digging into these ancient upheavals like we're doing with the Bronze Age collapse, I think it gives us this whole new perspective on our own world,
Okay, so I'm all ears. How does a collapse from 3,000 years ago relate to us here today? Should we be dusting off our old history books, prepping for the apocalypse?
Well, maybe hold off on the doomsday prepping for now. But it does show how even the most powerful and sophisticated societies, they're built on this foundation of interconnected systems. Trade, the environment, social structures, you name it. And when those systems get messed with, watch out.
So it's like a warning from history, hey, you might think you're all advanced and untouchable, but think again.
Right. It's about recognizing that complexity can be fragile. The Bronze Age collapse, if anything, it reminds us that we should never take our own stability for granted.
That's a bit sobering, not gonna lie.
True, but also important. We have to be aware of how interconnected our world is, how easily things can be disrupted, and how crucial it is to build societies that can bounce back from anything.
So how do we do that? Any tips from the Bronze Age?
Well, one thing we see over and over, even in the face of these unimaginable challenges,
Yeah.
humanity adapts. We rebuild. We find a way.
It's like that saying, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. Although maybe in this case, it's more like what doesn't kill you completely might just change you forever. And that's why we do this,
Right.
why we study history. It's not just about memorizing dates and names. It's about understanding the patterns of human behavior, the things that shape our world.
Well said. Sounds like the Bronze Age. For all its drama and chaos, it's got some pretty relevant lessons for us here in the 21st century. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Lost empires, climate change, mysterious raiders, pandemics. It's amazing what we can learn from just these little fragments of the past.
It really is. And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? There's always something more to discover, some new mystery to solve.
History always has another story to tell. But for today, we've reached the end of our deep dive, and we want to leave you with something to think about. We've talked about how these little disruptions can spiral out of control and topple empires. So look around at our world today. It's complex, it's challenging, maybe a little bit messy. What seemingly small disruptions do you think could have effects we can't even begin to imagine?
Now, that is a question worth pondering.
It is. And on that note, we'll let you get to it. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep diving deep.